Is it possible that the thing that most divides our loyalties and passion is what can inspire us all to work together? For centuries, sports has played a major role in defining the civic identity of America. Today, they hold the power and the ability to transform lives.
We're not looking for big league players, we're looking for big league people.
Ask the city of Los Angeles, who invested their profits from the 1984 Olympic Games in youth sports programs in the inner cities. Two sisters from Compton picked up a tennis racket. The rest is history. Sports allow an inspirational moment.
Oh wow, what a moment.
To ignite a battle to find a cure.
We have raised a little over $3 million.
They provide life lessons and hope, and the benefits of working together for the greater good. Most of all, sports are one of the few remaining methods we have to reach at-risk youth for positive social change. That is the power of sports.
Welcome to the Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001. I'm your host, Rick Horrow. And this month, we're in one of the greatest sports cities in the United States, Boston, Massachusetts. And what better place to be than in the Sports Museum at TD Garden, one of the ultimate shrines to sports in the area. Beantown has become Titletown over the last decade. But the tradition of professional teams here supporting this community goes back more than a half century. We'll tell you about some of those legacy programs on today's show. You'll also hear from Willie ORee, the Boston Bruin who was the first black player to take the ice in the NHL. And we'll feature a local organization that fuses sports and therapy to heal and strengthen kids. Let's kick things off by talking to two of Boston's most iconic teams about community initiatives they most proudly support. Along with one program centered right here at the Sports Museum, this is your Boston City Pulse.
The Lindo Sueños program, presented by JetBlue, is a program where we bring 10 teenagers down from the United States, team them up with 10 Dominican teenagers in the Dominican Republic. All 20 players are all from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and we form a baseball team. In the mornings, we build houses, and in the afternoon, we play baseball at the Red Sox Academy. They're nervous when they get off the bus, and they always say that they're nervous and meeting their teammates, because it's that whole communication, that language barrier that they're mostly afraid of. Once they start working together in the community, once they understand their mission, what their goal is, that bond actually sort of forms.
We're going to be working on Edie's house. It's going to be a lot bigger and a lot taller. We're going to push out this back wall further out. We're going to give her more rooms, because when you walk in, there's only 2 rooms. So she's going to have a lot more space to live and a lot more area to sort of have her own kitchen and everything like that.
The community that we had the most connection with has been El Mamon, which is right next to the Red Sox Academy. That community had a lot of need, and we felt that we could give back. They bring back this seed is planted in them. They may have done some community service before, but they get to see community service in a different country, with a different language, with a different culture. They bring that back, and it's something that can never be taken away from them. And the thing that always gets to me is the end of the trip, they don't want to leave. That team becomes a family within that 10-day span.
Uno, dos, tres, Lindo Sueños!
We have a program, a curriculum called the Rookie Flight Crew with our friends at JetBlue, which is designed to address the trend in the aviation industry that there is going to be a lack of pilots for a variety of different reasons. A lot of pilots are retiring at the mandatory age of 65, and they're not being replenished with younger folks. Think about the impact on the world if there's not enough pilots. And so how can we take that social issue and amplify it, raise some awareness around it, and generate some enthusiasm at the school level? Invest your time at the school level now in STEM. in teaching young people about the airline industry, of piloting, of mechanics, of all those different things. Use our Celtic world to get them excited about it, and then have them go through the curriculum where they really get a chance to learn how it all works, how it comes together, and then culminate in an incredible day at JetBlue with one of our players, and Jason Tatum, with a group of students that went through this program.
Which one is yours? Y'all gonna win?
I hope so.
I asked this young guy to tell the entire group of people that were there, Jason Tatum included, the head of all pilots for JetBlue in Boston included, how airplanes fly. And this young person stood up after this 6-week curriculum, and he said it so eloquently and so effortlessly. And if you could just water that over the course of an elementary school or middle school over time, you can really start to push on all these trends.
Boston vs. Bullies is the signature educational program of the Sports Museum. It's a video-based program, but we go out in the schools and we have a team of facilitators teaching about bullying, teaching kids about bullying prevention strategies, what they can do when they get caught up in these situations, whether they're being bullied or whether they're watching the bullying taking place. It's really most impactful in their own environment, and that's their classroom. We started the program and we got the entire Boston sports community behind it.
Hi, I'm Patrick Chung from the New England Patriots.
Terry Rozier with the Boston Celtics.
I'm Allie Raisman, Olympic gold medalist.
Mookie Betts of the Boston Red Sox.
Over the past 5 years, we've managed to reach over 85,000 students. We're incredibly proud of that. The schools that are participating in Boston vs. Bullies are seeing a decrease in peer victimization. So Boston vs. Bullies is helping to drive a decrease in bullying in the schools, and that's what it's all about. It's a powerful model, and it's an example of how to really leverage the powerful platform of Boston sports. We're playing off that dynamic to really address the issue of bullying in a high-impact way.
When we come back on Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001, we'll be joined by Hockey Hall of Famer Willie ORee.
On behalf of Group 1001, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Power of Sports. We are proud to travel across the country each month to tell the stories of how teams, athletes, and organizations are using sports as a catalyst for change in their communities. At Group 1001, our mission is to make insurance more useful and accessible to everyone. Our mission through Power of Sports is to inspire people across the country to see sports as a solution for positive change. To learn more, visit us at group1001.com.
On January 18, 1958, Willie ORee skated onto the floor for the Boston Bruins in Montreal, becoming the first black player in NHL history. And if that wasn't enough of a barrier to overcome, ORee was also blind in his right eye, a fact that he didn't reveal until after his hockey career was over. He would play 2 games for the Bruins in 1958 and 43 more in 1960 and 61. It would be 13 years after that before another black player took the ice for an NHL team. Over the last 23 years, ORee has worked to grow the sport of hockey across the country by serving on the league's diversity task force. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2018. So you actually, born in Canada, came up as a baseball player, could have played any number of sports, passion for hockey. When did it first occur to you that you wanted to play in the NHL and realized what the challenges were that lay ahead?
Well, when I was 14, I made 2 goals for myself to be a professional hockey player and hopefully one day play in the National Hockey League. I have to give a lot of credit to my older brother, who was not only my brother but my mentor, taught me a lot that I need to know about the game. Left my hometown at 17, went up to Quebec and played my first year junior. The second year I played in Kitchener, Ontario under the Montreal Canadian organization. And that's when I had my unfortunate accident. You know, none of the players back then wore any helmets, no face shield, no cages. And there was a slap shot. I'm in front of the net. Puck come up and struck me in the right eye. I lost 97% vision in my right eye. And doctor told me I'd never play hockey again. But that just fueled me to just keep playing and work harder. And 2 years later, I broke into the National Hockey League.
So if 200% is full vision, you have like 103%, right? And it's like you're looking back and you're thinking, what's wrong with these people? Why can't they play? I had half the physical skills and I succeeded.
Yeah, well, you know, being a left-hand shot and playing left wing,
right.
I had to turn my head all the way around to the right to pick the puck up and the play up, and I was overskating the puck and missing the net. But I just said, Willie, forget about what you can't see and concentrate on what you can see.
You see Jackie Robinson break in, and you're a great player, not just a black player. When did it first cross your mind that you might want to do the same thing in the NHL?
Well, I think when I played my first year pro up in Quebec under the leadership of Punch Hemlack, okay. And Punch said, Willie, he says, you have the skills and the ability to play in the NHL. He says, there hasn't been a black player, and he says, you could be the first. And I took the tone to that, and I said, you know, and I just played with the Aces that first year, went to the Bruins training camp the next 2 years, and then broke in January the 18th, 1958. Broke in with the Bruins.
I was just going to talk about that date. I assume you remember that date very vividly.
Yes.
What was it like skating on that ice and realizing the history of it and that you were involved in it?
I was no stranger to the Montreal fans because I had played against the Montreal Junior Canadiens in the Forum, the Montreal Royals, the pro team I played in the Forum. But when I stepped on the ice on January the 18th, 1958, I was just overwhelmed that I was going to play a regular scheduled NHL game against the top team, the Montreal Canadiens, who had been winning a Stanley Cup. There were some other good black players around at that time, but when they called me up, I was very thankful that the Bruins saw enough of me to bring me up and play with them.
We were all at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. You went in with Gary Bettman.
Yes.
Gary Bettman's speech moved me significantly. Yours moved me to tears.
Well,
it was incredible.
It moved a lot. It moved a lot of people. I have to thank so many people that voted for me, and I just wanted to let them know that I was very, very thankful for the votes that I got, and because I really didn't know I was going into the hall for about the last 4 weeks. They said there was a possibility. They said if you get a phone call, you'll be going in. If you don't get a phone call, you won't be going in.
Oh, you knew. Yeah, I mean, you didn't know. But
I had an idea.
Yeah, you did.
I had an idea.
Obviously, you're an ambassador with the NHL. STEM, tech, training, it hits a lot of buttons, especially with the NHL Players Association. So talk about the future of this as well.
Well, I'll tell you, there is a lot of future. There's more kids playing hockey today than ever before. There are more girls playing hockey than ever before. They've made it possible for these kids to come out and play, and they can choose their sport. If they choose hockey, baseball, football, basketball, whatever. But you have to set your mind, and you have to set goals for yourselves and work towards your goals.
God bless Willie ORee. You got your Bruins, you got your Patriots, you got your Red Sox. I'd take this man anywhere if I'm in Boston. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, 5 verwend tulips. Who will start me off at 40 guilders?
60 guilder each.
Right there! I've got it!
Tulip prices on the rise!
I'll bet you my house.
Why is a tulip worth so much? It's a tulip.
Times change, but market frenzies don't. Balance risk with a streamlined high-rate annuity at Gamebridge.life.
Serving youth in need is the purpose of Boston nonprofit Doc Wayne. They do it primarily through a creative program called Chalk Talk, which uses sports to provide traditional outpatient therapy to children.
We're using clinicians, and we're challenging the norm of traditional therapy through the power of sport, and we're altering the perception of what a clinician is by turning them into coach. Sport is really that true vehicle that can connect with kids. They don't have to be strong athletes, they don't have to like sports, but it could be a vehicle to connect with them and to provide them really important life skills that they're going to carry out in their community. We are in 23 different sites and see 400 kids a week. Our office, it's a court or it's a field.
The key piece of Doc Wayne's Chalk Talk program is that it has an engagement factor. So when you have an evidence-based practice that is well-researched and is well known to work, you really just need to get the kids there. And so that's where you get the marriage of clinical work and sport work, and that's where you get the beautiful combination of sport-based therapy.
We really focus on a few specific core areas, which are teamwork, communication, confidence, and resilience. And the delivery of that message is pretty unique and very easily able to be adapted to the specific needs of the kids. Our staff helps them understand that their heart rates go up when they're being active and connects that to what it's like when their heart rates go up in other situations. So they really understand how to just manage the sensations they feel in their body. They'll go into what we call a check-in. If we're playing basketball for the day, the check-in will be what's your swish of the week and what's your miss of the week. And we found that instead of having kids rate how they're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, they're more receptive to say like, oh, this is my swish. I made a really good shot this week, or something really great happened with my family. And then we give them an opportunity to share their miss of the week.
You really want to be able to use sport as the live lab to teach these vital skills that we know are inherent in sport, but need that proper environment to be able to teach these skills.
If the skill of the day is really talking about facing adversity and perseverance, you might have the kids participate in a 2-on-1 basketball drill. What it's like to have to overcome the odds, and that is just so connected to their lives. So by putting it in a sports framework, it helps them understand that they can overcome these challenges.
It's a very welcoming site for them, and it's a very welcoming way for them to open up to their coaches, right? Because they refer to them as coaches, not as my therapist, not as my clinician or my psychologist.
Working with Doc Wayne, little by little, everything started changing. Now I cannot stop those kids from talking. Emotionally talking, they completely changed. We worked together and it was unbelievable, amazing, the changes.
Up next on Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001, it is our monthly trip to Oklahoma City to see the impact that Fields and Futures is having on the city. Every month on Power of Sports, we tell you about the impact Fields and Futures is having in Oklahoma City, where the organization is building 44 of them in the state's largest school district. In years past, Southeast High School in Oklahoma City produced some of Major League Baseball's most notable players, including Bobby Mercer, Darryl Porter, and Mickey Tettleton. Sadly, over the years, the athletic facilities fell into disrepair and went without any physical upgrades for more than 60 years. Today, we're excited to see the Southeast Spartans take the field on their new baseball field made possible by Fields and Futures, the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, Group 1001, and a community of caring donors and supporters. As you'll see and hear, a quality playing field can change lives in more ways than one.
You learn so much through sports. You learn about competition, you learn about teamwork. When I was very young, my dad became head baseball coach at Southeast High School.
In the 50s and 60s, it was very respectable. Good players came out of there, went to state 5 times.
You know, it has quite a legacy. The first superstar was Bobby Mercer. Next was Darryl Porter. It became a source of pride.
Under the circumstances of today, a new field was needed. It wasn't safe to play there, and it's a very bad situation to play away from where your school is.
And it was just amazing when Fields and Futures came in. My dad drew a sketch back in the 60s of his dream field. Fields and Futures had their plan, and we laid it side by side with my dad's drawing. It was so similar, it was uncanny. I'm gonna see my dad's dream come true.
It's been a great partnership, to come together and to build beautiful fields just like this one.
I'm super excited. I've been waiting for this since last year when I used to look out the window and watch the field get built.
This means a lot. We're hoping to attract future generations, having a brand new field.
I hope a whole bunch of boys go out for the team and they stick around in school. I think this is a part of Fields and Futures' vision, just to give them some pride in their school, and I think that's going to happen.
After the break, we'll take you around the world of sports and social media in our Social Spotlight.
We all want a chance to grow, to use the present to impact the future. Every day, this field is a place to play for thousands of our students. And this place, this field, changes everything. This field is more because the future plays here.
A quick moment of shameless but appropriate self-promotion. While here in Boston, we celebrated the launch of my new Sport Business Handbook, which covers my 50 years in the sports business industry, yeah, I'm that old, by hosting a panel at Harvard Business School. It included some thoughts from Professor Stephen A. Gracer on the evolution of sports philanthropy over that time.
But community relations quickly became something that sports teams did and that sports leagues encouraged their teams to do. In fact, in the NBA, and I think in other leagues, but the NBA was first, to require all of their teams to have community relations programs that at least lived up to a certain standard.
Let's look at the best social media content over the last month involving sports and community. We call it our social spotlight, and Dwayne Taylor has more.
Thanks, Rick. Cincinnati Reds second baseman Scooter Gennett has started an online campaign to raise awareness about bullying and mental health. His Say Hello effort partners with Goldie Hawn's Mind Up program, which educates kids 3 to 14 about mental health. Scooter himself has spoken to schools as a part of the program, aiming to teach kids that it is okay to talk about your mental health and destigmatize society's view of it. A limited edition Say Hello t-shirt can be purchased at athletesbrand.com to help raise money for the effort. The Friends of Jacqueline Foundation works to improve the lives of kids with cancer by partnering them with sports teams. The organization was started after 9-year-old Jacqueline Murphy saw the benefits of this relationship during her own battle with cancer. College softball has embraced the effort wholeheartedly, as shown over the last month. LSU softball signed 12-year-old Jill Vickers to a letter of intent. Long Beach State had an entire day devoted to their FOJ friend Jenna, and Florida State pitcher Megan King threw a no-hitter with her friend Hayden in attendance. Friends of Jacqueline has helped over 800 families since 2005. That's it for this month. Back to Rick in Boston.
That's it for Power Sports this month. Next month, we'll head back across the country to see what powerful lineup of guests we'll have promoting sports in the City of Angels. I'm Rick Horrow. We'll see you next time on Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001.